Hi, everyone. Today, I want to share a new story with you. Hope you enjoy it. The clock kept ticking, making me more and more nervous. I tried to focus on my work, typing on my keyboard, but I could hear whispers in the office. Kevin and Rebecca, two younger managers, were talking near the copier. They spoke softly, but I caught bits of their conversation, my name, words like retire and slipping. My heart sank. This wasn't the first time I'd overheard them talking about me, and I knew it wouldn't be the last. A few minutes later, Rebecca walked over, her heels clicking on the floor. She stopped behind my chair. "Antonia," she said sweetly, but her voice had a sharp edge. "Can you check last month's reports again?" Kevin noticed some mistakes. I turned to her, surprised. "Mistakes? I checked them twice. They should be correct." Rebecca smiled, but her eyes were cold. "Maybe, but a fresh look won't hurt, right? Kevin just wants to be sure everything is right." Before I could reply, she walked away. Kevin smirked at her like they were sharing an inside joke. I clenched my teeth. I knew the reports were fine, but now they had planted doubt in my mind. They knew exactly what they were doing. As the day went on, they kept giving me more and more work, like they were trying to slow me down. Every email from them seemed designed to waste my time. Meanwhile, they had plenty of free time to laugh, whisper, and spread rumors. As I walked past, I heard comments about keeping up with change and knowing when it's time to leave. During lunch, I sat alone, barely touching my food. That's when Claire, a coworker from accounting, sat beside me. She looked worried and spoke in a low voice. "Antonia, I don't know what's going on, but Kevin and Rebecca have been meeting with the new president. They're saying there are problems in your department." My chest tightened. "What kind of problems?" Claire hesitated. "They keep talking about needing new ideas and fresh perspectives." I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Thanks for telling me, Claire." Back at my desk, I felt Kevin watching me. A few minutes later, he walked over and leaned against my cubicle. "Hey, Antonia," he said casually, "have you ever thought about, taking it easy? After all these years, maybe it's time for a well-earned break." I met his gaze and forced a smile. "I'm exactly where I want to be, Kevin. I'm not going anywhere." For a second, he looked surprised, but he quickly recovered and smirked. "If you say so, just don't push yourself too hard." He walked away, leaving me fuming. That evening, as I gathered my things, I saw Kevin and Rebecca whispering and laughing. Something had changed in the office. The respect I once had was fading, replaced by suspicion and their fake smiles. The next morning, the office felt colder. People glanced at me but quickly looked away. As I sat down, Leela, the president's assistant, appeared beside my desk. "Antonia," she said quietly, "the president wants to see you." I felt my heart race. I knew this was coming, but I lifted my head and followed her to his office. Kevin and Rebecca were standing outside, looking far too pleased with themselves. Kevin gave me a small nod, his smirk barely hidden. Inside, the president sat behind his large desk, his face unreadable. "Antonia, thanks for coming," he said, motioning for me to sit. "We need to talk about your position here." I could already tell where this was going. "We're making some changes in the company," he said, glancing at some papers. "We believe it's time to bring in new perspectives." His words felt like a slap in the face. I kept my voice steady. "New perspectives? I've been here for 32 years. I built relationships with clients, trained half the team." He raised a hand, stopping me. "We appreciate your dedication, Antonia, truly, but with the company's new direction, we think it's a good time for you to consider early retirement." "Retirement?" I repeated, shocked. "I'm not ready to retire." The president cleared his throat, avoiding my eyes. "I'm afraid this isn't optional. We're offering a severance package. It's generous." Through the glass walls, I could see Kevin and Rebecca outside, pretending to work but watching closely. They didn't even try to hide their satisfaction. I took a deep breath and met the president's eyes. "So, this is how it ends? After all my years of hard work, you just push me out like this?" He sighed. "Antonia, please, let's keep this simple." I stared at him for a long moment, letting the betrayal sink in. Then I stood, moving slowly and deliberately. "Very well," I said, "but I hope you're ready for what comes next." As I left his office, Rebecca's eyes gleamed with victory. "We'll miss you, Antonia," she said with fake sympathy. I turned to her, my voice calm. "Be careful, Rebecca. Things don't always go as planned." For just a second, her smile wavered. It was a small win, but I took it. The following Monday, I wasn't there, but I could imagine the office growing tense as the news spread. By mid-morning, the quiet whispers had turned into full-blown panic. "Have you heard?" a junior employee whispered to her colleague. Rebecca sat smugly at her desk, but Des perked up, listening closely. "Clients are leaving," the employee continued in a hushed voice. 49 clients gone, just like that. Rebecca froze, her satisfaction turning to fear. She glanced around, looking for answers. Then, without a word, she pushed her chair back and rushed to Kevin's office, slamming the door behind her. Inside, Kevin was pacing, looking frustrated as he checked his phone. "They're leaving one after another," he said, his voice full of disbelief. "I've called a bunch of clients, but none of them are telling me why. They just say they don't need us anymore." Rebecca's voice shook with anger. "This is Antonia's doing. I'm sure of it. She planned this. She was too calm when she left." Kevin shot her a hard look. "Calm down. We need to handle this. If we can't, the president will fire us. You know that." Just then, Kevin's phone rang. After a tense moment, he picked it up, and his face drained of color. "The president wants to see us right now," he said. They nervously walked into the president's office, where he sat, staring at them coldly. "Can either of you explain why 50 of our most loyal clients left overnight?" he asked, his voice full of fury. He slammed a document onto the desk. "We've lost half our revenue this morning." Rebecca stammered, her confidence slipping. We didn't know this would happen. We thought she." The president's glare stopped her mid-sentence. "You thought forcing Antonia out was a good idea?" he growled. "Did you ever think she was the reason those clients stayed with us?" Kevin tried to defend himself. "We thought the company needed new ideas. Antonia's methods were outdated." The president leaned forward, his eyes burning. "Outdated? Those outdated methods kept us going. You two may have just ruined everything." A tense silence followed. For the first time, Rebecca looked truly scared. As they left his office, Rebecca whispered to Kevin, "What are we going to do?" Kevin clenched his jaw, his face showing dread. He didn't answer. For the first time, he didn't have an answer. The office was filled with tension. The president, hearing rumors of misconduct, had ordered an internal audit and review. A week later, Rebecca and Kevin were called back to his office. This time, the president looked even angrier, like he was planning something. "Sit down," he ordered, pointing to 2 chairs in front of his desk. Kevin and Rebecca exchanged nervous glances as they sat down, the ticking of the clock making the silence feel even heavier. The president dropped a pile of papers onto the desk, the sound loud and sharp in the quiet room. "You thought you could get away with this, didn't you?" His voice was low but sharp. Rebecca blinked, trying to stay calm. "Get away with what, sir?" He flipped open a file, revealing spreadsheets and email logs. "You offloaded your work onto Antonia while you took credit for it. You inflated expenses," he said, his gaze cold, "and you had an inappropriate relationship at work, ruining team morale." Kevin turned red and shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Sir, Stop," the president interrupted, his eyes burning. "Antonia worked here for over 30 years, and you two tried to ruin her at every turn." Rebecca's calm demeanor cracked. "With all due respect, we were acting in the company's best interest. Antonia's methods were outdated." "Enough," the president yelled, silencing them both. "Those outdated methods kept this company alive. Since she left, we've lost clients, and I don't need to explain why. They trusted her because she actually did her job." The president leaned back, staring at them with clear disapproval. "I've spoken with Antonia, and I'm offering her job back, if she's willing to return." Rebecca's face went pale, and her voice wavered. "But she'll never come back. She hates us." The president gave a small, humorless smile. "That's exactly why I'm firing you both. Your contracts are terminated immediately. Clean out your desks." Rebecca gasped and gripped her chair. You can't do this. Oh, but I can." He stood up, signaling that they were dismissed. "If you had worked with her instead of against her, maybe we wouldn't be in this situation." The 2 managers stood there, shocked and realizing their plans had fallen apart, leaving them to face the consequences. Meanwhile, Antonia's heels clicked on the shiny floor as she walked back to her old office with her head held high. The president had called her back, apologizing and offering her a generous deal. She had hesitated, but something about returning felt right. She wanted to help the company, her clients, and herself succeed again. As she walked down the familiar hallway, people whispered and stared in surprise. Some former colleagues nodded at her with respect. When she reached her desk, She saw Kevin and Rebecca leaving the building, their faces ashen. For a brief moment, Rebecca met her eyes with shock and anger, but Antonia felt nothing for them now, only a sense of closure. The president greeted her warmly. "Welcome back, Antonia. It's great to have you here again. Our clients are already giving us positive feedback." Antonia nodded as she looked over her desk. Everything was back as it had been, as if she had never left. "Thank you, sir. I just wish things hadn't gone this far." He leaned closer, speaking sincerely. "You deserved much better than what happened, and I promise that those responsible have been dealt with." At that moment, a message notification appeared on her computer. It was from the CEO of one of their biggest clients, one of the 49 who had left. She opened it and read the short, powerful message. "Our contract renews next month. We're in, if you're in charge." Her heart raced with hope. She never expected such a clear sign of trust from a client. The president glanced over her shoulder, smiling slightly as he read the message. "You're an important part of this company, Antonia. The clients know it, and so do I. Let's work together to make this company what it should be." She nodded, feeling proud and determined. Just as she was about to reply, her phone vibrated with a call from an unknown number. Something made her answer. "Antonia," a familiar voice said softly. It was Rebecca. Antonia hesitated, then calmly answered, "Yes, Rebecca?" After a brief pause, Rebecca's defeated voice came through. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, for everything." Antonia took a moment to absorb the words, then, with quiet finality, she replied, "It's too late for that, Rebecca. Actions have consequences." Rebecca exhaled, and the call ended. Antonia took a deep breath, feeling as if a weight had been lifted. She had risen above it all, not out of revenge, but by staying true to herself. With newfound determination, she turned back to her computer, ready to lead the company toward a brighter, stronger future. Please leave your comments. We're looking forward to your comments and channel subscriptions. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching till the end.